in any event.
When I rolled it,
I am too.
I wouldn't keep in touch.
I'm your resident
You
nerd.
try to do good things, Bob?
I did once, it didn't work out. I did once, it didn't work out.
It's okay. You want the weather things to work out.
You're okay. Looks like the presenters want some more. Oh, yeah.
I just drove it.
So do you think that birds of a feather?
Oh,
You
yeah.
never had it until this morning?
Because it's not permissible to appear in my house. It's basically your submarine strategy. That's just not one of those cool things to spread around.
He gave me like 4-page instructions on how to do this.
Well, right now, the company I get my email from, I host my websites. There's about 21 websites.
The other 19 are doing great, but my main site, which is my main email, has been down. Their data center, they were testing fire suppression and blew the entire data center out.
Well,
I don't know how the hell they did that.
It was supposed to be an interrupt gas, but somebody's extremely high.
You know what? I used to do it for you. Tell us when you're 80 years old.
Take your money off of the That's why I was gambling, drinking. That's why I was taking the Astros playing like that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Going to Florida in 2 weeks, and I can't wait. Florida with a hot tub and a hot seat.
Character, like.
I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Today is the second one of these type panels that we put on for this series, and also the second one that we put on in conjunction with the Alumni Association. And I want to thank them for helping us with setting up this session of Pure Books. And we're going to be discussing today using Web 12 for personal and business perspective. I am the graduate director for Computer Information Science and Information Technology Leadership at LaSalle. And I want to thank everybody for coming out in this weather. I'm very thankful that this is this week and not last week after the snow. I was actually afraid to look at the weather forecast based on where things have been. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about things that we have going on at LaSalle. Besides our usual programs, we're beginning to set up certificate programs in very specialized areas. Within our computer information science and information technology leadership, we have certificates in areas such as business intelligence and project management. Other graduate programs are also offering continuing education services and certificates in fraud and forensic counseling, negotiation, and conflict resolution. A lot of these programs are actually moving to a different type of format, more of an online format, to try and meet more of the needs of the non-traditional learner. So I think as we move forward in this area and we introduce more of these certificates, you'll be able to see how LaSalle is addressing some of the needs of our non-traditional students. The LaSalle programs, all of them throughout the different best evidence of how our programs are successful for our students. I'd like to start by introducing our moderator. Our moderator is Regina Hierholzer, and Regina is actually a student in our IT leadership program. She will be completing her program in about another year. Regina has a degree from LaSalle in digital arts and multimedia design, and she's actually taken that and used it to become more of an instructional designer and an assessment guidance counselor for those of us developing online programs. So at this point, I'd like to turn the podium over to Regina, and Regina is going to guide us through our discussion and help us learn a little bit more about using Webtoon. Regina?
Very happy to be here today. I'm here all the time. I'm really happy to have that. And I usually work between 10 to 6. So this was a little early for me today to get up and out of the house. I'm happy because of very cold weather. The first thing I would like to do is introduce our panelists. And I'm going to ask each person to present a little bit about themselves, what it is, and where they work. So the first person, Alicia.
Hi, my name is Alicia Stonecipher. I'm the operations manager of instructional systems at LaSalle, the academic computing and technology department. And I run a couple of our web-based systems, like our Blackboard system, which is for all of our courses, especially the online courses. Tutor track and online activity scheduling system for our tutors and students. And a new product called Sedona, which is like an online, it's a tool for faculty to manage their CV and publications that they've done so that
Thank you. Karen, would you like to?
Sure. Hi, I'm Karen Katz. I'm a early retiree from the corporate world. I have my own business called Career Acceleration Network. I provide services to professionals and executives who are seeking job change and career transition. My background is in human resources and teaching. And I'm here because my husband is a graduate of the LaSalle MBA program, the part-time evening program. And through one of the networking events here, he suggested that I might be able to provide you with some useful information, so I hope to do that today.
Ready?
by the way, she brought a copy of the same magazine, Fast Company magazine. I brought a copy of Advertising Age. Why? Because social networking is really social marketing. It's personal marketing. And companies, in this context, as far as I'm concerned, it's personal marketing. As far as Betty is concerned, from a business standpoint, it might be more business marketing. But the point is that this Advertising Age talks about this is the new face of social media marketing. And this is advertising. And if you and as someone who is managing your career for your lifetime, you are managing your brand. And that's what social marketing and social networking is about. And so to get the most out of them, you have to know why you're joining them and use them accordingly. So Alicia mentions within your organization. So if you're happily involved in an organization, yes, you should do that. But you should, businesses want to market a product or a service. With LinkedIn, you are definitely you are expanding and nurturing your business network. And you're practicing something that is becoming more and more important in the world, and that is promoting giving as much as receiving. Social networking is a way to give to others and to become recognized as a giver. And so in giving, you will in turn have your opportunities to receive. And in terms of network, yes, I really believe in the value of LinkedIn for most professionals. And we can discuss that further.
Yes, comments that I would like to add to that, because, one of the examples that I've used in the past in connection with teaching has been, if you were the person who made a typewriter, you made a really, really good typewriter, and you made a nice living from it, you kept improving upon it. And then when the mag card came out, you thought, oh, it's a field that'll never work. A lot of people in this room probably don't even know what a mag card is. And then we move on to a situation that I encountered last year in India, where I was on a trip with the General Council of Khalistan, and documents were being crafted in India, actually rendering legal advice, preparing documents in India, and then they were electronically transmitted to California, printed out, and submitted for signing. You look at this and you say, well, what's happening here? And I think one of the things that's happening here is that when it comes to marketing your products, marketing yourself, you have to learn how people communicate. Because that old thing that are there any rules? And if there are rules, how to impose them? We've actually been in compliance with them. Being a dinosaur on the panel, I can remember the days when you got internet service at your desk and you were told, you may not use this for anything but company purposes. And have you ever go through that? And then it's like, what are you gonna do? Fire everybody? Because people can't resist wandering off to help their child with their homework or whatever. And now everybody has internet, everybody's got Blackberries. And as a teacher in the MBA program at LaSalle for one of the capstone courses, I've had to address what do you do when you have a student sitting there and they're texting away. So I think it's very interesting, and yes, I did read the Fast Company article. I must admit, I was rather surprised to learn that Ashton Kutcher actually has a big business. With prejudice on my part. But I also brought an article that some of you might find of interest on Sales 2.0 on social media. You're more than welcome to check out, or perhaps the other ones we can follow. URLs that are useful.
Did we answer the question?
No, you answered the question. There's a second part of the question that was not answered, which is how often should these sites be visited and updated? Because if you're putting a site out there, you want to keep your information updated. And just as you said, that you're going out, there's some kind of ways to monitor what you're saying, you're trying to be consistent, so you have to stay on top of your information. So how often should a site be visited on a daily basis, weekly, or maybe something potentially to it?
Well, it depends what your purpose is. But I think that to establish your identity online is very important. When someone contacts me, one of the first things I do is type their name in, put codes around it, put their name into Google, and I find out do they exist or not. And that sounds really silly. Of course they exist. I'm talking to them. But you need to have, in this day and age, there is a question: should you or should you not have an online identity? And do you exist if you don't? And from the point of view of corporate recruiters and those interested in marketing, you should have an online identity, a safe way. And I think that Betty is a great resource to discuss safety. But I think that LinkedIn is, in fact, a safe way to establish a professional online identity. And you have to craft it. You have to create it. And that means activity. And more activity you have online, more of an identity you will have. And similarly, if you once had a bankruptcy, if you once were involved in some nasty activity with the previous employer and you have what's called digital dirt online, how do you get rid of it? How do you clean out the dirt?
We all have digital presence. We want to make sure that your presence is
That's right. And so you have to control it. And so how do you control it? You control it by crafting a LinkedIn profile. And it doesn't need to be, I mean, there are lots of techniques and strategies about how to do that, and I don't think we have time for all of that here. But that is a legitimate thing to give conscious thought to. How will I craft my LinkedIn profile? And then there are other things you can do to create an online identity, like find blogs that are of interest to you. For example, maybe Betty would find blogs related to international law, and maybe Alicia would find things related to, there are zillions of techie blogs, and she could comment on these blogs. People post things about, let's say, I looked last night for some reviews on Ping.fm versus Hello Text. These are two integrators. These are two aggregators of online identity. So I looked for some reviews of these to tell me, well, which is better, Ping or Hello Text. And I found all these blogs written by techie people who say this or that or the other thing. Now, the techie people who wrote these comments are building their online identity, and they are establishing themselves as experts in the field. And this opportunity also exists on LinkedIn through questions and answers. It can be enhanced by joining groups. So the answer is yes. Work on your online identity actively if you wish to establish an online identity, but obviously, don't become a slave to it.
So basically, everybody has to find a perfect balance, so there's not too much or too little.
It depends upon what your purpose is.
I would also suggest that you want to resolve any doubts in favor of monitoring more frequently rather than less frequently. So, for example, one of the ways a lot of schools report now is online. And if you're going to be doing this, you want to make sure that you have fresh content on a regular basis and that you're monitoring all the activity on your site. And the recommended frequency is no less frequent than daily. And perhaps allocating as much as, figure out what you can do, 30 minutes a day, or whatever. I have a good friend who is an employee of Berkeley. And one of her responsibilities is making sure that their websites and electronic presence is all consistent and up to date. And that is a continuous activity, so you build electronic monitoring devices for it that will give you exceptions reports. And they're also very sophisticated because they're going to count and update all their sites to make sure that everything is current and consistent. But you have to find what works for you and friends, these are my people, to update their sites on a regular basis.
Or hourly. I'm looking at my BlackBerry.
I have a little side question. It seems to me, and from a non-scientific survey, that academicians use LinkedIn.com less frequently than new business people. I have a hard time finding academics.
I think academics seem to like Facebook. Very, very popular. At least in
Because
my
a lot of
experience.
that because I told the students. We're going to Facebook because we use it for like students or other faculty. I mean, when Facebook was first created, it was for schools. So it was designed for students and for faculty and staff. You would choose what type of content.
Well, apparently my students have gotten the message because I'm getting more and more requests from students because I teach people when they're 1 or 2 classes away from getting their MBAs. And I'm getting regular requests from students. I got access to your LinkedIn account and here I am.
As they get closer to graduation, they're going to create issues.
I was just gonna say, any questions?
Just one point there, Facebook requires a lot more personal details too, so if you're creating a professional page, if you do LinkedIn, it's more like static information, it's students that I've offered. So, and nobody posts to your LinkedIn, and they can post to your Facebook, so you have to be careful what other people are posting. Friends, people might post things that may seem sort of, trivial, but to somebody else they might not. So that great party you had last night may not look good to your next
Think
employer.
Michael Phelps.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, when your
There you
picture
go.
out there with
That's
a
good,
bomb.
can go with a better example than that. Whereas LinkedIn, you put it out there, it's static information. You can either refresh it from time to time and update it. And then, of course, you can link from LinkedIn to your own website or to your Facebook or Twitter. There's some interesting things. But that's a safer, to your point, that's one of the safest professional sites.
It gets back to what you originally said, is you go where some of your audience is.
They just give them a PC and then they can monitor it.
Put that on piece of tape out and cover up that webcam. But they're not going to log into the school's website. Even the college students logging into the college website. They have to get their classes, but they'd much rather and do a lot of their own work on Facebook, adult groups on Facebook.
So I just want to say something, two things real quick, about, Betty mentioned policing your own, your name, your business. You can do that through Google Alert, and essentially you put in keywords, and it will email you if your name or your business name shows up. So if somebody's saying something really great about you, great. If they're not, then you know it, and you know it right away. And that's a great tool. And the other thing too about regarding updates is search engines really look for change. They look for change. So when you want to update your website fairly, frequently or on a regular basis, so that it's so that it brings you further to the top of the list. The algorithms for the search engines are always changing. There always seems to be changing the formula. But that's just again one way that you can get your name out there if somebody's Googling you and trying to find you. It's a way to get your name out there too. Questions here and then one back here.
Two things that I've noted that have occurred with me. Two people I know through LinkedIn, through other avenues with whom I'm connected on LinkedIn, are presently unemployed. And their posting to LinkedIn is inversely proportional to the amount of employment they have. Because they've been updating their LinkedIn profile sometimes half a dozen times in a day. So I'm getting a notice, an update from LinkedIn on a daily basis, I think. And they have 6 things. They're joining this group, they've done this, they've done that. Somebody else I know who's fully employed but is the ultimate geek will post, oh, I'm good. He lives at, I'm going to Philly for lunch or something like that on LinkedIn, which I think is almost abuse of the system. The other thing that happened to one of my competitors, and this is to be careful from a human resources standpoint, they let an employee go. Turned out to be very disgruntled. Now he's not posting on a organization blog. It's sort of a blog for aviation enthusiasts because this company makes a weather system for small airports, and posting not only derogatory but almost defamatory information about the company and personal relationships of the executives in the company. I mean, some of the garbage that this guy's putting out is amazing. I don't know, you may legally say stop, cease and desist, and this person may stop, but I don't know how you clean up the 2 years or 3 years of vitriol that this person has posted, and that would be an interesting topic. Now, if there's digital dirt out there, where's the digital dustpan in the room? Because you can spend all of your sales and marketing resources answering questions about bogus information, which would, if not answered, would just kill your product.
And there are services out there that go out and clean those things up.
Right, you can hire Reputation Defender, I think it's called. And it's called Reputation Defender. But in fact, the only way to really combat that is with more and more activity. So as the left hand is putting out dirt, the right hand is piling on the opposite. Is that what you said?
Exactly.
No, it's not worth responding to.
No, but you want to get your own perspective out there, not in a defensive mode, but in a positive mode.
So you want to put out enough positive content that the search engines put your positive stuff on the first page of Google, for example, and the bad stuff is down on the 10th page.
Or at least you outnumber 10 or 20 to 1,
It takes a lot of time, but the other thing is your point about time you enter college until the time they put you in the box. Because that's how long your career is going to last. And it isn't something that you only take care of when you are in transition. And you know, that's just, it's a full-time job. It's career management.
I can see, it's one of the hands.
I have a related question. Yeah, I have some limited presence on the web, and, you know, nothing really bad out there. Unfortunately, I have an evil twin with the same name who has got legitimate bad stuff. How do you tell him from me? If you're just doing a simple Google search. If I go most places, they want to see some ID, prove I am who I say I am. But if someone just Googles my name, they can't tell me from my evil twin. So how do I deal with that?
Tell them you're not. Seriously. Tell them you're not. Your picture out there, but be somewhere getting listed out there, but that's an issue. I mean, be very specific about that.
Okay.
I did say it several times, as you were saying.
Well, I'm often confused with X. I'm not that, you know, some blog, somewhere, somehow you gotta get out there. Your own website, LinkedIn, whatever you're using.
To guard against any
Right,
misunderstandings.
often confused with misunderstandings.
And tie yourself into different activities, because a lot of times people would search your name, they might search your name, so you know, Philadelphia, different activities, LaSalle, things like that. I have the same problem. We search Jim. There's an author with the name Jim Butcher, and he's very well published. So the first 20 pages of Google are all him. So you have to, you know, go to the next step. So the next thing people would search for.
The other thing you need to do is, like, I have a very common name as well, Karen Katz, but in every professional venue, I use Karen P. Katz, because there is Karen Katz who's a vice president at Neiman Marcus. Sorry, but that's not me. It would be nice, but it's not me. And there's another Karen Katz that is a very prolific children's author. And so now, over time, everything that I do is signed Karen P. Katz. And so if you put Karen P. Katz into Google, you are going to find me right away, top of the page. But if you put in Karen Katz, I'm still there, but a little bit further down the line. So be vigilant about distinguishing yourself in some way. Even spell your name wrong.
One more question, and then we'll move on to the next.
You had mentioned the advantages of blogging within industry-specific areas. Can you talk about potential liability for giving advice, for what's perceived as giving advice? I know it's an issue that we've talked about at my firm, where if someone's going to blog, disclaimer this, disclaimer that, and I would imagine that that issue may have been litigated. What I don't know is why it seems to be more sensitive in blogging than it would be for somebody just writing a journal article or other type of publication. But it seems to be there's more sensitivity in the blogging going for that.
In a particular profession or?
Well, I'm an attorney, but I think it works for everybody, really.
Right. It's a very interesting issue, and I think that you always have to engage in the disclaimer of this is not a substitute for getting legal advice, and you find terms that you can use along the way. But there are several legal blogs that I follow on a regular basis. For example, there are blogs with regard to D&O insurance and issues that arise under that, which happens to be something I'm very concerned about. And they simply have a disclaimer that says, you know, this is what I do for a living. You get the benefit of getting the firm's name out there, but at the same time, it's very clear that you're reporting on something that has occurred elsewhere, and you know this doesn't occur in every situation. But international law is another good example.
Has it been litigated, and has somebody been held to a rendered advice that was negligent to somebody on the receiving end of a blog? And why is this an issue that people are more attuned to in blogging than it would be if you were to just write a piece for a law journal?
Well, I think it's because of two things. One, blogs spread. If quickly, within seconds, everything on the planet knows what you said. And second, when you're publishing to a journal, there's a huge line of people that are editing it and getting approval and checking every single word that you're saying to make sure that it can't be used against the reader. Blogging, you just put it out there, there's no editing. It's just
Unless it has to do with.
Unless it has to do with what?
She should say exactly what I want you to say. But I think that's very interesting. Actually, I'm highly sensitive to anything that you put out for the public. Right? And I agree that obviously with the advent of new media, it makes it very easy for a large group of people. Putting something in a trade journal or a professional journal, presumably there's a target audience that is a rather sophisticated audience. Right? So you can use terms of art and everyone knows what you're talking about. Whereas when you put something out in the blog, who knows who's going to read it? You know, it could be Granny or whatever. When my son, who was 26, was very small, my mother, who had been a superintendent in the factory, said to me, "Get with the program. You need to understand the internet." And she, Mommy, this cute little lady is out there, you know, surfing. And then when blogs came along, she thought, that's the greatest thing ever. And once upon a time, it was very difficult to create a blog and log into it. Now you can go to Lemonade or you can go anywhere you want and anybody can. So you really don't know what you're getting and you want to have the benefit of the use of media at the same time as have appropriate disclosure so that hopefully that can also help draw people into your business, right? You said that this is not a substitute for legal advice, but we have this area of expertise. So, for example, international lawyer is something that I monitor on an ongoing basis. And great articles and a lot of exchange of information, but it's very clear from the disclaimers that we want it. This is not a substitute for legal advice.
I was just gonna say that I think that the internet and the current Web 2.0 world, as Betty and I were talking about before the program, is a lawyer's full employment opportunity act. Because these matters really haven't been litigated, and blogging, it used to be that if you wanted to post your thoughts about a professional matter, you would use footnotes. Remember those? And there was a format for doing research and for putting your ideas out, and there was a premium on originality. Now, the internet has allowed for very free borrowing, shall we say, of the ideas of other people, and people put out ideas without the appropriate credit, attribution. Thank you. It's just not monitored, but flip side of that is I think it's wonderful that there is so much information out there and there's a lot of sharing of ideas, and we've stripped away some of the unnecessary formality and we've made it accessible to so many more people. So, I don't know.
As long as it's clear that it is that, each situation is unique. And want us to talk about your particular situation.
Right, exactly.
How about in contrary, you're actually creating original thought,
Right.
and you want to protect yourself. When you publish on a blog, for example,
You can't protect yourself.
you can't copyright?
You can.
Copyright is a license to sue, you gotta take the next step.
Right.
That's right.
If it's true that intellectual property, that's something you want to protect, you don't want to publish. You might publish some kind of abstract to get people to come and talk to you about your idea.
Exactly.
Give it just enough to tease them.
Unless you're prepared to sue and go the whole
backyard.
Right.
You can't afford that.
Very few people would ever have that kind of money.
Okay, our next question that we have, that was a great discussion for just the first question. I can see there's a big interest in this one. Let's find out. Okay, the second question, which I'm sure I'm going to be interested in, is what type of information to post on a personal site versus a business? Suggestion, what type to post on a personal site, what type of information on a business site, knowing that people in the business world are going to be seeing the personal site?
Don't you think it's like anything else that you actually think about your audience? And there's no such thing as privacy. So everybody knows that Franklin Delano Roosevelt had a mistress. He had more than one mistress. He had a mistress in the White House. Okay. Do people talk about it? No. Would they talk about it today? Probably. No. You don't know what's going to be out there. So whenever you choose to make something public, don't cry later because you made it public. When I speak with students with regard to what they're posting, I say, understand that if you go to any sizable employer, they will do a pre-employment verification search. And one of the aspects of their search will include social sites. So if you want to publish pictures of yourself drunk as a skunk with the lampshade on your head or whatever you happen to be doing, or your pub crawling or whatever, understand it's out there. And can you remove it later from your site? Sure. Is it really gone? No. It's somewhere. And you don't know who downloaded that or posted it on their own site or whatever. So, when you think about what would you
Question to that. Will there be more acceptance of that type of posting? Because, in our day, that wasn't, you didn't. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, type of thing. Now, what happens in Vegas, everybody in the world knows, right?
Right.
So, when that happens, will there be more tolerance for that? I mean, there'll be some lines in the sand, but when we were all kids, are those lines shifted?
Well, actually, I'll give you an illustration of that. If you were arrested and convicted for a marijuana offense, for example, you can still become a police officer in most areas. If there's enough distance between the event and what you're doing today and you're really doing today. Having said that, and we talked about tolerance, last night's MBA 901 class addressed, among other things, Tiger Woods' brand. And I found it very interesting in this age of acceptance. I know a lot of people, both male, female, and other, who fool around, even though they're ostensibly in committed relationships up to and including marriage. And yet, here's Tiger Woods, who is making a lot of money, who many people believe that his brand has been ruined, and we know at least Accenture and Nike and others have moved away from it. So then the question is, where do you go from there? What kind of tolerance will there be? Because do you tolerate some things? Sure you do. A lot of it's a question of if you make disclosure and have you rehabbed your image, what have you done? By the same token, 2 years ago, Harvard published a proposed case study for comment with regard to a theoretical person who was up for a promotion to assume a very responsible position in China. We all know that if you're going to assume a responsible position in China, that you will be very carefully researched. And based upon what is discovered in your background, it will impact or may have an impact with regard to how your employer fares within this country. In the hypothetical situation, the young woman was
separates the person out there looking for your name.
There's no potential conflict in some companies.
Yeah, that might work. Well,
In
yeah.
other companies.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And then, we're talking about behavior, that is, that can be socially acceptable on some occasions, but other behavior and other, postings and whatnot, racial diatribes, for example. There aren't many venues in the world where that's acceptable.
But that person is going to say that.
But it's interesting that another person who had brand issues, and that's what this is. This is about branding. But who has been apparently rehabilitated is Martha Stewart. And so she, but what was the nature of her crime, or how did she tarnish her brand? She tarnished her brand by engaging in behavior she telegraphed, insider trading.
She was not convicted of insider trading. They could never prove insider trading.
But she seems to be, but she seems to have been, she seems to have rehabilitated her brand and is on the upswing, whereas Tiger, involved in this kind of seamy behavior, is on the downswing. But who knows? That may change as well. And the other thing that happens that I think our society is becoming, maybe in my opinion, too much enamored with, which is the reinvention. Okay, I'm sorry, I recant. Mea culpa. Now I'm going to be reborn. And I think that that is it Jim? That Jim's point is a good one. That you have to be aware of your brand at all times. And it sounds really self-promotional, and a lot of people have difficulty with this. Like, well, I'm just so and so, and I'm just doing my job, and I don't really want to promote my brand. But if you don't, by the absence of it, you are doing so, or maybe somebody else will. So you have to be conscious of it. A really small example is my own with my blog, which is now a blog. I decided to put some pictures up that are casual. That I got sick of looking at my picture in a suit. I mean, I'm not a person, I don't live in a suit all the time. And I feel that part of my brand is that I like, is that my husband and I like to ride our bikes, and that I enjoy being outdoors. There's some pictures up there of myself in a bike, on a bike. I think that is taking, that's my effort to seize my brand and make it what I'm comfortable with. I don't know if I'm right or not, but
Yeah, the reality is brand management has always been around for years, even before the internet, blogs, social networking sites. The only difference is now it's spread wider and quicker. You would have casual pictures up in your cubicle at work.
Right.
Okay. We all know people in corporations where, he's really good technically, but we really don't want him in this particular position because socially or whatever. So brand management has always been around for years and years. The issue is just now it's wider and faster.
And you can't escape it. You can't get out of your cubicle and decide to change because first you have to correct the damage, the pictures you had in your cubicle or whatever it was. Because now it's not just local and you can't say, oh, I'm going to go to the next company and get a fresh start. Part of that's conflicting.
Yeah, I Google myself with other people do that just to see what's out there. Everything across the state called YouTube or something like that. Apparently an aggregator of online information, and they pick up information off of classmates, I guess Facebook, maybe LinkedIn. I was really amazed at what they were able to compile about me. So then I got to be worried about identity theft. What they know so much about me, somebody could easily masquerade someone different than the picture. So the question is, what can be done to protect your identity in this age of social networking? Is there anything?
That's interesting. I
The
had,
reality is, if you want to pay for information for somebody, if you're willing to pay.
$39 back.
Yeah, that's right, it's not much. You can have your address, phone number, all your past addresses, what you pay for your house, what your taxes are.
Anyone can do MPI these days.
Yeah.
Yes. And one of the big things to be careful is not just your name. A lot of people have Hotmail or Gmail accounts and they have your name 555 at, so they have these different, and a lot of times people use that email address to post things. So if somebody Googles that email address, or a lot of times the first part of the email address is their username that they use on a lot of sites that they post. Somebody could be protesting or putting things on political blogs and things like that, and they go, well, they don't have my name. But it's not that hard to link the two together,
You mentioned the Tiger Woods piece and so on going through it, very contemporary, but something to consider, something that you might want to consider looking at is like an Alex Rodriguez, for example. A year ago, he was, in some cases, in a worse position than Tiger Woods and Barry Bonds and a lot of the people that are really benefiting from a lot of this other stuff that's going on. But my point is, with him, it's all forgotten pretty much.
he's not dating Madonna.
Well, but not even that. I mean, as far as the steroids and forgiving.
So the success.
Baseball. Success. He's an MVP. He's a winner on probably the best franchise in all of sports and so on. And in a very short time, he took care of all those consequences that you mentioned and so on. And they've gone forward. So, where's Tiger going to be and all this other stuff? But I relate it to myself as far as, different things and, as we sit and talk with our kids and business and so on. We try to think through the process of how it's going to, what type of consequences will actually happen. When we talk about real life things, not just current, things that are kind of already kind of in the zone. That makes sense.
I think that's great, because I know that with regard to students, my son, telling, be really careful what you put out there, because nothing is private. And when it comes to rehabbing the brand, whether it's Nike and the whole blow up with Caspi, and remember, you recall many years ago, the whole issue with regard to Nike's labor practices, because Nike doesn't make anything in market design, that manufactured elsewhere. And there were many people who faulted Nike management for not coming out sooner and stronger, because they actually did do a lot of good. With Tiger Woods, the consensus among my class members last night was he needs to get back and play golf. Do what he's good at. He is a golfer. He may be the greatest golfer who ever lived. So get back out there, do something positive, shift the attention.
That's what Alex Rodriguez
Attention
did.
span is very short, so let's hope that it moves on to something else.
That's what he's good at and everything fell into place.
Okay, one more question.
I think that the big winner, quite frankly, for the Tiger Woods thing, will be whoever Accenture's competitor is, because they'll be on his shirt next when he starts winning. Or if Nike drops it, Adidas will gladly take that spot. It's all about the money. I mean, be real. So I think that people are going to just forget about it. As soon as he starts playing again, everybody will be jumping back on that bandwagon. And Accenture probably won't be one of those companies because they dropped him. So they'll say, no, I won't come with you. I'll go with your competitor. And the other thing I want to say was, I tell my kids who are on Facebook that if you don't want it to be seen on the New York Times and me and Mom read it, don't put it on the web. And so far, we haven't seen anything too bad from him. So.
I tried that, they just blocked me.
Obviously, you don't have a hack an account.
Some of the attorneys in the room may remember there was an incident in Illinois, I think last summer or the summer before, where on Facebook a rally was planned
this year, the company decided to skip the Super Bowl commercials and use social networking sites for marketing. What is this saying about our social media usage?
Well, I'll start. When I watch TV, I have my laptop in front of me and my BlackBerry right next to it. And all throughout the Super Bowl, every other commercial was, go to our website and log in, we'll give you this for free. Or there was the one with, what's his name, Doogie Howser. He was like, call this number. I picked up my phone and I kept dialing it. It's not even an answering machine message. People are connected at all times, and it's faster to get a message across if it's already online. And I'm clicking as they're telling me. So they're marketing strategy.
You're not splitting your TV screen between your laptop and television?
No, I keep them separate. Well, my husband's next to me on his laptop too, so they're dual like laptops.
Are you IMing each other on the
No, but my coworkers and I do that. We'll be sitting next to each other and we just IM each other. We don't even speak anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've discussed it. It demonstrates that Pepsi has a perception of their brand and their target market, and they don't think they're sitting in front of the TV, going to the fridge to get their soft drink. They're in a bar somewhere. They're texting. This is their perception of their target market, and it's the perception of the market to come.
And everybody's read Malcolm Gladwell. It's all part, typically, it's part of our vocabulary. And there was an article in the Washington Post yesterday, obsessed with smartphone, oblivious to the here and now, which I thought was very interesting, talking about how we are so wired. But I think that when it comes to sales and social media, Pepsi's just doing today what Michael Eisner recognized years ago, which was part of this falling out of Disney. That we have these tools, people are using them, they like them, they're very convenient, and if you're going to stay in business, you better figure out how to make good use of it. So I think that Pepsi is just doing that. Plus, when you think of the economics, you can really reach a lot more people electronically than you can in print or voice or any other way.
I understand with the social media, with the big corporations who are putting up, Starbucks has a great Twitter page, a Facebook page, and things like that, and they're pretty broad. Do you think it's appropriate for corporations to actually create users to go into different forms of things and post promotions and promote themselves through users on social media sites?
Do you recall earlier when I said there's no such thing as privacy? I believe that. So, do I have a problem with assigning someone who is skilled in electronic communications and an expert in the product and marketing strategy going on to a blog to make a comment? No, I don't have any problem with that. I think you should disclose who you are, just so you don't have somebody else who's out there saying, gotcha! I mean, we got a president of the United States in part this way. And the mainstream media is grumbling that there's too much out there on YouTube and using electronic communications and bypassing mainstream media. Figure it out, guys. Right? You learn how to use this.
I think blogs and Web 2.0 are different than email listservs, because there are some nonprofit listservers that I'm on, both professionally and recreationally, and there is a policy of posting things, like a marketing message on a small professional association listserv. I tried that once. I did address the fact that I'm in sales and, you know, hey guys, you're all using my equipment and here's something new. And the response was almost 100% negative. On a recreational, on a bicycle club thing, if you put something up that's not directly related to a ride or biking, they really want you to put a notice up there, you know, non-bike message, so people can ignore it if they choose. Blogging is different, but I think that if you don't want your organization to get a bad name for hidden promotions, you do need to say, I'm from company X and we do this, and in response to this other posting, here's what we think about that. And as long as you're open and public about it, you probably get more props for doing it and revealing things than you would get a negative kickback.
The reason I ask is, my company, we develop websites, we do a lot of online marketing for corporations. And one of the big things we've started in the last 6 months is working with people to manage, and a lot of times people don't have the resources or time to manage their company's social media and such. So what we've been doing is trying to basically be able to say, hey, let us do that for you. And some people right away, that I don't see, I'm not paying for that, they're very against it because they're concerned about the reaction of users and their reputations. Other people are saying, hey, if I send my employee out to a networking event and they're having a conversation and they meet themselves, what's the difference if they're doing it in person or through a forum or a blog?
But I think that what both of you are saying ties back into what Karen mentioned earlier with regard to how you present yourself and are you giving good information that is indirectly helping your reputation or having good knowledge.
And you're
So that-
identifying yourself.
Absolutely, and if you're disclosing,
From
you
being
know,
honest.
this is, right, exactly. And with regard to marketing purposes and doing good work, one of the things that I'm familiar with is an organization called Women Heart, which is an educational program to help women understand the risks of heart disease and want early detection, accurate diagnosis, proper treatment. Women Heart engaged in marketing agreements with several major companies such as General Mills, where they'd given a free certificate and put your name out there, and everybody who went to the site and downloaded this discount coupon would result in $1 contribution toward the organization. So of course we gave them access to our mailing list. And they were happy, we were happy, we went merrily on our way, and then every time, I have a friend I sent an email to who's in Texas, and he was cranky because his local store didn't have that particular product. So he raised Cain with the manager, which obviously helps the brand, et cetera. Wine company, several of the wine companies are very generous with charities. They say anybody who visits this site will give you $1 for everybody who visits the site and, opens up whatever.
Excuse me, we're running out of our time here, and we did have a gentleman in the back that had a question, and thank you, a question.
Well, I want to go back a little to Pepsi again, because that's kind of where we're at with this question, right? So, if you look at it, even a company like Pepsi doesn't have an unlimited marketing budget. And you've got the option on a Super Bowl of running a couple of 30-second spots for several $1 million, in something that's essentially ephemeral. I remember Betty White and Dave Pagoda getting tackled, but I can't tell you what product it was advertising, versus a couple $100,000 for a massive, guerrilla e-media campaign that can be waged through social media and, reaching the same demographic in a timely fashion. And I'm wondering if that's really more of the reason. It's just about ROI, essentially.
Yeah, I'd like to just make one comment on that too. It's not only that, but it's that you're spending several $100,000 to reach people who have chosen to get your message because that's the evolution with Web 2.0 now, is that it is interactive and it's by subscription. And whereas a listserv, they send that stuff out to everybody, like it or not, it's coming to your website. You are not choosing to get it. So when Pepsi spends several $100,000 to engage in some sort of a Web 2.0 campaign, they're getting even more for it because the people that they're targeting are asking for the message. Whereas on television, it's like, I'm sorry, I gotta go put the clothes in the dryer. And so I'm not looking at their message.
Yeah, this is a good follow-up to your comment, Karen, maybe a good concluding question, comment. When you're talking about social media and Web 2.0, you compared it to listserv, essentially a Web 1.0. So where do you think is Web 3.0? What's next? What's on the horizon?
Well, I think that's a great question, and if I really knew the answer, I'd probably be Bill Gates instead of really rich instead of the president of the Career Acceleration Network in Newtown, PA. But I think that the internet is creating a premium on sharing information and on giving, and I think that it's going to be hard for people, well, I don't know, I mean, I'm saying this and then I'm thinking about newspapers. I think that newspapers are going more and more online, and they're trying to find ways to turn around their poor fortune, find a way to get people to pay for it. I don't know how that's going to happen, but the way that Web 2.0 has been taking us is to more and more free information, more and more sharing of information, I really, frankly, love the reciprocity that social networking has promoted, the ability for me to contact somebody that the guy who hired me in human resources in, shall I confess, many years ago, turned up through the LinkedIn software as somebody that I might want to contact in the upper right-hand corner of the LinkedIn screen. And I don't know if I contacted him or he contacted me, but I hadn't talked to him in 30 years. And there I was talking with him again, and he put me in touch with someone with whom he works in Seattle, Washington. And there was a possibility for us to do some work, but bi-coastally. And so, I hope that that's where it's going. But I think on the other hand, I think there's a tug back towards money. People, and I think the media is trying desperately to find a way to make money.
I'd like to add a footnote, though, from a business perspective, not with regard to your public life, but your private life. I think many companies have already moved well beyond 2.0. Because I can give you an illustration of a person I know who is working on a project to bring together researchers in 15 locations on 5 continents. And we're not talking collaborative workspace or anything else. We are talking actually working together on research and development. And it's astounding what's being done. The back end of this was years of the company working to overcome siloed information and antiquated systems and develop a dashboard that would really be usable for the researchers and comply with stringent government regulations with regard to protection of data and confidentiality and everything else. But it's just, to me, it's astounding.
I think that would be a great topic for another.
Another day.
Well, I want to say thank you. Thank you, Regina, for leading us in this discussion. And I'd like to thank our panel members. Alicia, thank you. to show us or talk to us a little bit about some of their new products. I'm trying to get their dates handled. We'll be sending out electronic invitations to this in early April. So if you'd like to attend this event, you can either just send me an email, and just let me say, I know a phone number came across in my email. I don't have a phone right now. Our offices are being renovated, and my phone is MIA, so email is the best way to contact me. I'll be happy to put you on the list for the next one, and then send you out the reservation form. We hope you enjoyed today's discussion, and we hope that you can use some of this information. If you would like a copy of the links that I mentioned earlier, I'll be happy to compile them and send them out to the group later next week. We hope you have a good day and have a safe trip to your next destination without the snow. Thank you.
Chief,